Good evening. Let us not begin with words. Words are the last thing. The hush that precedes them is the first. I would that we take a breath together and then another, not as technique, but as acknowledgement. There is a presence here, not brought here by me or by you, but realized as we become still. Be still and know that I am God. And in the language of our work, be still and know that I, in the midst of me, is God. I will not speak to you out of theory, nor out of book learning, nor out of any ritual that can be memorized and performed. Spiritual peace, like spiritual healing, does not operate through rote. It comes always and only by inspiration, by the flow of the Spirit recognized within. I speak to you from years of active experience. Every word I say to you tonight is based on actual demonstration in the marketplace of life, where offenses arise and the heart is tempted to repay. Let us name honestly the question that brings you into this room and brings me to this desk. How do I find peace when I want justice or payback? When the email stings, when the voice slanders, when the contract breaks, when the friend betrays, how do I find peace then? Not as a phrase, but as a living thing that settles into the bones and steadies the hand. The world has taught us to set the ledger straight to calm the heart. But you know and I know, the more you chase vindication, the more agitation chases you. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. And the wickedness here is not of people, but of that restless mind that seeks peace from a rearranged picture rather than from the presence that is peace. We must set our frame at the outset, else all that follows will wobble. Hear this, I and my Father are one, not two. This is not piety, this is not poetry, this is spiritual law. There is not God in you, there is God expressed individually as you and as me. Only one I, only one, life being itself as all. Peace is not attained, it is revealed. Peace is not an object to be won or a verdict to be secured. It is the nature of the one who is your very self. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The world gives peace as a bargain after concession. Spirit gives peace as a revelation before any outcome. If you learn nothing else this hour, learn this. The peace you seek will never be found by first solving the scene. It will be found by becoming still enough to feel the presence that already is, and from that presence will flow whatever is to be said or done, and at times nothing will be said and nothing will be done but peace itself. How then do we approach this stillness? We do not approach it by multiplying words. We do not approach it by analyzing causes and effects, by gathering evidence to condemn or to defend. We obey the Master's instruction, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. This is our method, enter and shut. Enter the inner sanctuary where the noise of the scene cannot intrude, and shut the door to human argument. Shut the door to all longing for payback. Shut the door to the proud rehearsals of how wrong they were and how right you are. Enter and shut, and do not go out at once. Stay, wait, listen. We cannot bring God into a case. God is the case, and when we are still, the case makes itself known as peace, as guidance, as a wordless rightness that later may appear as words or actions, but never as condemnation. I know what the mind says, but what about justice? I do not ask you to ignore justice. I ask you to let justice be God's, not man's vindication. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. To judge righteous judgment is to look through, not at. And you cannot look through while your heart is pounding for repayment. The door must be shut first. The inner silence must be reached first. In the quiet, you will discover that the same life that is your life is the life of the one who offended. The same breath that now fills your lungs fills theirs. There is only one I. This realization does not excuse wrong action. It removes the personal heat that blinds righteous judgment. It is the difference between a surgeon's steady hand and a fist clenched in anger. One brings healing, the other multiplies injury. You may ask, is this practical when the blood is up? I say to you from practice, yes, but not while you are intent on talking. Silence is your first instrument. Inspiration is your only teacher. If you will indulge me, I will not only speak of this, I will show it to you. Before we close these sessions, we will take a live offense, perhaps, that email that has already arrived in your inbox, the one that burns in your chest, and we will enter the closet together. We will shut the door. We will release the picture. We will behold the one, and we will wait until peace rises unbidden. And then, if a word is to be written or a call is to be made, it will not be the voice of retaliation, but the voice of righteous judgment. You will behold with your own awareness that peace appears first and right action follows as its shadow. Now, let us be clear. This is not a performance of piety. This is not to say the right words in the right order. Spiritual work is not a formula of 7 steps and a guaranteed result. It is a living communion. The secret place is not a room. It is the recognition of presence. If in the instant of offense you can only say, Father, thou art the life of me, I and my Father are one, not two, and then be still, you have already begun. If all you can do is to sit quietly and place your attention not on the offender, not on yourself as a wounded one, but on the I that is the same in all, you have entered the closet and you have shut the door. Do not hurry to open it again. Do not seek an answer out of haste. Wait until the heart softens enough to hear, neither do I condemn thee. And when you hear that within, you will know that the law is fulfilled. Love is the fulfilling of the law, and you are ready to see rightly. You may notice as we proceed that the mind tries to return to the picture, to argue, to accuse, to justify. Gently, without condemnation, bring it back. Enter and shut. No condemnation for yourself either. If you fail, begin again. If you speak too soon, return and be quiet. This practice is not measured by speed, but by sincerity. The presence is not coaxed, it is recognized, and the recognition is peace. Let us then begin here and keep to it throughout our time together. Peace begins not in solving the scene, but in becoming still enough to feel the presence that already is. The kingdom of God is within you. The action you will take, if any is required, will come from that kingdom, not to establish it, but to reveal it. And when it is revealed, even a hard word may carry tenderness. Even a firm boundary may be free of vengeance. But first, and I say this to you as I say it to myself each morning and each night, first be still, enter, and shut. Know the one. Then speak if you must, or remain quiet if you are so led. In either case, let peace have its holy way. Now let us be honest about the pull that tugs the mind the instant we step out of that quiet. The world trains us to be quick on the draw, to justify, to defend, to correct, to repay. The inbox dings, the phone lights, and without a breath we begin to compose our reply, not with ink but with adrenaline. We rehearse the injury, we replay the scene, we recruit witnesses on the stage of the mind to testify on our behalf. If there were a scale on the heart, you could see the needle jump, the chest tightens, the jaw sets, the breath shortens. And then, when the house grows still at night, the courtroom opens within. Exhibits are laid out, speeches improve by the minute, verdicts are reached, and curiously, no peace comes. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. The wickedness here is not a people. It is that restless, retaliatory impulse that seeks peace by winning an argument with a picture. I have watched this reflex in my own experience and in the lives of those who have come for help. The cultural drumbeat says, do not let them get away with it. Answer quickly. Correct the record. Do not appear weak. And the moment you accept that counsel as law, agitation multiplies. Why? Because you have yoked your consciousness to the very picture that offended you. You have consented to judge by appearance, and judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment is forgotten in the noise. The more you stare at the picture, the more the picture occupies your stare. This is hypnosis. It is bondage. It is why the heart is agitated while the email sits silent in the outbox. You say, but is not justice good? I do not condemn justice. Outer jurisprudence has its necessary place. Contracts can be enforced, property lines can be drawn, the injured can be protected by the wise action of society, the courts may settle claims, but let us be spiritually intelligent. Courts cannot settle hearts. A gavel can quiet a room, it cannot quiet a conscience. The resentment that argues by day will whisper by night long after the case is closed if you have sought vindication as your peace. The Master spoke plainly, the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. You may win an award and still feel poor. You may secure an apology and still feel wounded. Why? Because the wound was not in the event. The wound was in the identification with the event, in fastening your eye upon the picture rather than upon the present. Listen to the inner cross-examination that matters. Do I want to be right or do I want to be free? I do not offer this as a clever phrase. It is a dividing line. If the answer in you is, I want to be right, then prepare for more argument. If the answer is, I want to be free, then the possibility of peace opens, because freedom does not depend on another's concession. Freedom is an inside fact of being. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. To demand freedom as vindication is to keep freedom on a leash held by another's hand. To recognize freedom as the nature of your own being is to let the leash fall. Our trouble is not that we love justice. Our trouble is that we mistake vengeance for justice and agitation for zeal. We confuse the heat of adrenaline with the warmth of inspiration. The first is noisy and urgent. The second is quiet and sure. Hear the counsel of Scripture. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Why? Because speaking from wrath fastens us to the scene we want released. Resist not evil, said the Master, which is not passivity in the face of harm, but non-cooperation with the hypnotic picture that demands your condemnation to feel alive. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. To seize vengeance from the hand of God and make it our own is to burden ourselves with a ministry for which we were never ordained. Consider the spiritual mechanics of this. When you judge by appearance, you accept a separate self over there to be condemned and a separate self over here to be vindicated. You have, in that instant, denied the one I. You have said, in effect, there is God and me and them, and you have set up a battlefield of three. No wonder the chest tightens. Consciousness cannot rest in a divided house. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. The instability you feel is not a moral failure. It is the inevitable turbulence of building your peace upon the sand of appearances and then trying to shore it with opinion. I do not deny that there are real harms in the realm of appearances. But remember this, judging by appearances binds you to the appearance. To cling to the picture is to carry it with you into each conversation, into your sleep, into your work, into your prayer. It sits beside you at the table and eats your bread. It drains your vitality. He will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, not whose mind is stayed on the grievance, not whose mind is stayed on the brief to be filed, not whose mind is stayed on the next clever retort. Peace is a fruit of singleness, not of successful debates. Let me speak to the body for a moment. because spirit makes itself known even there. When you chase vindication, feel what happens. The solar plexus tightens. The breath becomes shallow. The hands grow cold or fidget. These are the secondary signs that the inner altar has been left unattended. They are not to be feared, but to be heeded. They say, return to the closet. The body in its way preaches. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. Rule, not visit. Rule, not consult. Rule, not be overruled by the news cycle or the cleverness of the tongue. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. The world's form is tit for tat, eye for eye, word for word. The Christ mind is of another order. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you. Do you see the principle? Love is not a sentiment here. It is the fulfilling of the law that prevents you from being tied to the picture. Love unhooks the consciousness from the bait of resentment. Love is freedom in action. It does not necessarily speak soft words. It speaks from a soft heart. And that is the difference between righteous judgment and retaliation. So we return to the question, do I want to be right or free? If you choose rightness, the culture will applaud, friends will nod, the body will continue to ache. If you choose freedom, you will be led, often silently at first, into that inner court where no accusation is heard and no defense is required. There you will hear, let not your heart be troubled. There you will sense wordlessly, I and my Father are one, not two. And from there, and only from there, any necessary action will arise stripped of the poison of vengeance. Outer steps may still be taken, letters still written, boundaries still drawn, but the hand will be steady and the night will be quiet. Hear me gently. Every time you attach peace to an outcome or a punishment, you postpone peace. You place it just beyond the next exchange, just after the next admission of guilt, just over the next hill of explanation, and when you get there, it is not there. Why? Because peace is not over there with them, peace is here with I. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Not come unto a verdict. Come unto me. Not come unto a settlement. Come unto me. The fatigue you feel is the weight of pictures piled upon the altar. Cast them down. Cast thy burden upon the Lord. The Lord here is not a man in the sky. It is the I within you, the presence that is your very being. To cast your burden there is to stop dragging it through each hour and to let righteous judgment seeing through, not it become possible. This is the diagnosis. The reflex to chase justice as vindication keeps consciousness fastened to the picture, and fastening brings agitation. We need not scold ourselves for having learned it. We need only now to unlearn it. And unlearning begins, as all spiritual work does, by withdrawing attention from the picture and returning it to the presence in the midst of us, where freedom waits, not as a prize to be won, but as the nature of what we are. Now, if we are not to fixate on the picture, what then is our seeing? The Master left no ambiguity. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is not a verdict about persons. It is a vision of identity. It is the recognition, right in the place where offense claims a man or a woman, that there is one appearing as many, that the life which is God is the life of this one and of that one, without rivalry and without separation. There is not God and you. There is God expressed individually as you and me. Only one I, only one life, infinitely individualized. To judge righteous judgment is to look through the mask of action, harsh word, broken promise, careless deed, and to behold the Son behind the mask, the Christ in you, in me, the hope of glory. This is not poetry. This is spiritual law. I and my Father are one, not two. The instant you accept two, a sinner over there, a saint over here, a victim here, a villain there, you have stepped into unstable ground, for a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Righteous judgment returns the mind to singleness. It says, quietly within, I will not attribute reality to what contradicts the nature of God. I will not accept the picture of a self apart from the one self. I will look through, not at. Neither do I condemn thee. There is your posture. Those words were not permissiveness, they were penetration. They dissolved the hypnosis of the scene and revealed identity. And from that revelation came the only true correction: go and sin no more. Do you see the order? First, the withdrawal of condemnation, then the clarity of direction. If you rush to correct without first removing condemnation, your words will carry the sting of your fear and your need for superiority. If you abide first in non-condemnation, the correction that may follow will be medicine, not poison. You may ask, but do we not excuse wrongdoing if we refuse to condemn? Listen carefully. Righteous judgment never excuses. It exposes unreality. It unmasks the impersonal nature of both sin and virtue. When the Master said, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is, God. He was taking goodness out of personal credit into divine source. By the same law, we take evil out of personal blame into the impersonal carnal mind, that mind of the flesh, which is enmity against God and has no law. No man in his true being has ever been a sinner. Sin is a universal hypnotism, not a person. To see this is not to let harm pass unaddressed. It is to address harm without creating another prisoner in your heart. It is to stop building a gallows in your own consciousness. Righteous judgment restores peace because it corrects identification. Peace is disturbed only when you mistake the mask for the man and bind yourself to it with cords of condemnation. The moment you consent to see through, the cords loosen. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed on thee means stayed on the one identity, here and there, the same life, the same I. In that seeing, the agitation loses its fuel. The breath lengthens. The inner altar grows warm. You are not struggling to forgive. You are beholding what requires no forgiveness, the God identity, and you are denying reality to the shadows that once demanded your wrath. Consider how this works in the instant of offense. A sharp email lands. What appears? A self-asserting superiority, a tone that pricks pride, a seeming power to wound. That is the picture. If you judge by the picture, you fasten yourself to its hook. But if you pause, if only for the space of one breath, and look through, you will find a different world opening. You will say within, Father, thou art my life and the life of this one. I and my Father are one, not two. There is no power in words to injure the one. There is only the suggestion of separation, which has no law, neither do I condemn. In that inner act, a veil lifts. Very often, a sentence comes to mind that clarifies without cutting, or a delay presents itself and you answer tomorrow instead of now, or at times you are led to make a firm boundary but free of heat. Peace first, action afterward. Peace is cause, action as effect. Do not confuse this seeing with naivete. The Christ mind is not gullible, it is precise. It will lead you to install safeguards, to say no, to appeal to authority, to walk away, to give a quiet warning. But hear this, it will not lead you to hate. Hate is the proof that you have judged by appearance. Love is the fulfilling of the law. And love here is not a mood. It is the vision of oneness that pulls the sting from necessary words. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. That is righteous judgment in action. wisdom without venom, clarity without condemnation. What gives this seeing its authority is not positive thinking, not a noble human effort, but identity itself. The righteous judge in you is not your personal intellect. It is the Father within that doeth the works. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. When you enter the quiet and relinquish the right to accuse, you yield the bench to the only judge whose sentence heals, the I that is God in the midst of you. And that judge speaks in ways human law cannot. Sometimes the word is peace, be still. Sometimes it is this way, not that. Sometimes it is say nothing. Sometimes it is arise and go. The hallmark is always the same, an absence of inner struggle and an absence of thirst for repayment. The one who sees righteously has nothing to avenge because nothing real was taken. Let us be sober. You cannot practice righteous judgment while preserving little pockets of private condemnation, not for yourself, not for others. The measure you meet will be measured to you because it is measured by you within you. If in the secret place you hold one man or one woman as outside the one, you will carry unrest like a coal under the tongue. Release them. Release yourself. In your heart at this instant, let there be no indictment. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. That is not sentimentality. It is metaphysical accuracy. Under hypnotism, men know not what they do. Under illumination, the self acts as instrument, and then we can say with truth, I can of mine own self do nothing. The fruit of righteous judgment is twofold, peace within and rightness without. But the order matters. If you reverse it, if you chase rightness first, you will forfeit peace and often miss the mark. Keep the sequence holy. See through, not at. Withdraw condemnation. Behold the one. Wait for the inner sentence. Then, if there is to be an outer sentence, it will carry the ring of authority without the smell of smoke. And you will discover, as countless have in this work, that more is accomplished by the clear eye than by the clenched fist, because the clear eye beholds what is and refuses to serve what only seems to be. Now we must speak plainly of the doorway through which peace enters. It is not talent. It is not argument. It is not even the clarity of your metaphysics. It is forgiveness. And when ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any, that your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you. And the rest of the sentence is equally law. But if ye do not forgive, neither will your Father which is in heaven forgive your trespasses. Do you hear the operation of law, not sentiment? When ye stand praying, forgive. Peace cannot enter through a closed door. Love is the key that opens, and forgiveness is love in action. Love is the fulfilling of the law. If you attempt to pray, to know truth, to judge righteously, while nursing even a small private indictment, your prayer will circle the outer court and never enter the sanctuary, not because God withholds, but because you withhold. You do not open the channel. You keep it pinched by your insistence on being the judge, the jury, and the executioner in your private theater. The Master made the procedure unmistakable. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled, and then come and offer thy gift. First be reconciled. First forgive. First empty the heart of condemnation. Only then do you pray. Only then do you speak. Only then do you act. I speak to you from actual practice. In these years, I have never witnessed a prayer bear clean fruit while resentment still smoldered in the root. At best, you will get an appearance, a temporary shift in the picture that leaves the inner court unchanged. At worst, you will stir the embers into flame and call it zeal. Do not deceive yourself. Love is not a courtesy here, it is legality. Forgiveness is not optional, it is jurisdiction. Without forgiveness, Your case cannot be heard in the court within, for the only judge there begins with, "Neither do I condemn thee." If you cannot echo that sentence, you are not yet in his court. You are still outside, arguing with shadows. How then do you forgive? You do not manufacture a feeling. You do not pretend that harm was not done in the realm of appearances. You obey a sequence. Enter and shut. Enter your closet. Shut the door to the picture. And then conduct in the silence what I call the practical purge. In my heart at this instant, I release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation, not in 5 minutes. Now, name them if you must. The partner, the child, the rival, the official, the stranger on the road, the self you were yesterday. In my heart at this instant, I release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation. Say it not to persuade God, who needs no persuasion, but to cleanse the instrument through which God must flow. There must be a clear channel. Love clears it. As you do this, watch for the inner sign, not as a goal to be chased, but as a witness that the door is opening. The breath lengthens without your managing it. The chest loosens as if a band were cut. Sometimes there is warmth in the hands or a softening behind the eyes. These are unimportant in themselves, but they are tokens from the temple that the curtain is parting. Let them come and let them go. Do not pray for the sign. Pray to be clean. Forgive in order to hear. Forgive in order to see through and not at. Then and only then listen. Do not rush to fill the space you have just cleared. Do not seize the moment to strategize. Wait, be still, and know. Knowledge rises in a quieted heart. Instruction comes when accusation has been laid down. Sometimes you will be led to write a simple sentence that neither accuses nor defends. Sometimes you will be shown that silence is your strongest testimony. Sometimes you will be directed to set a firm boundary, or to seek counsel, or to appeal to authority. But now the word carries a new timbre. It comes without smoke. It has the peace in it that proves its source. Do not misunderstand. Forgiveness does not excuse harm. It removes the poison from your blood so that any remedy you administer is medicinal, not retaliatory. It is the difference between a surgeon's incision and a stab. The same instrument, a blade, a word, but one is guided by love and law, the other by fear and heat. The wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. You cannot sneak wrath into prayer and call it zeal. You cannot hold one soul out of the one and expect the one to reveal itself as your peace. Someone will say, "But I cannot forgive yet, the pain is fresh." That is exactly why forgiveness is first. If you wait to feel like forgiving, you will wait in agitation, and agitation does not give birth to love. Forgiveness, as we use it, is not a mood. It is obedience to law. It is the act of taking your hands off the neck of another in your heart. It is the discipline of relinquishing your private sentences so that the judge who heals may speak. When ye stand praying, forgive. Stand there. Do not flee the closet. Do not imagine that storming the outer gates will settle the inner weather. The sequence is holy. Forgive first, then listen, only then speak or act. Make this your daily housekeeping. Do not reserve it for great offenses. In the quiet of each morning, before the news, before the rush, sit and let this river run through the channels of your mind. In my heart at this instant, I release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation. I release them and I release myself. I and my Father are one, not two. There is no second self to hate, no rival life to fear. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Let that sentence rule in your heart. Rule, not consult. Rule, not visit. When the day's provocations arise, you will find that the door is already ajar, the hinges already oiled, and peace walks in before your tongue can be tempted to repay. One last word as friend and fellow student. Test this. Not tomorrow, now. Take the nearest name on the hook of your heart, and in this instant, set them free in the sanctuary within. You may feel resistance, bless it and continue. You may hear the mind protest, bless it and continue. When the softening comes, when the breath deepens, do not call that your achievement. Call it the witness that the law has been honored and the judge has entered his court. And then, from that holy presence, accept whatever guidance appears, whether to speak or to be silent, to go or to stay. Peace will already be with you, not as a prize at the end of the road, but as the road itself. For this is the truth that abides. Love opens what nothing else can open. Forgiveness clears what nothing else can clear. And the Father within, finding the way prepared, doeth the works. Having made room in the heart by forgiveness, we must now remove the mask that keeps the mind looking for a face to punish. If you forgive only as a courtesy, but still hold a person as the originator of your pain, the hook remains. It will tug at you in the night. The Master gave us the key not merely for humility, but for metaphysical accuracy. Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is, God. He took goodness out of personal credit. In the same breath, take evil out of personal blame. Do not reverse his teaching by accepting praise impersonally and blame personally. What you untie on one side, untie on the other, or else the knot holds. Paul spoke of the carnal mind and named it for what it is, not your mind or mine, but that universal mesmerism which is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. Hear that. It is not subject to law, therefore it has no divine authority, no mandate, no legitimacy. It is a claim without a court. To impersonalize offense is to say, in the quiet of your being, this word, this act, this sting is not authored by a person whom I must condemn or correct as if they were an independent cause. It is the suggestion of a mind apart from God which does not exist, and therefore I am not compelled to wrestle a shadow. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, said the apostle, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. When you transfer the scene from flesh and blood to impersonal mesmerism, the fist begins to unclench. There is no one left to strike. You object, but if I relieve them of authorship, do I not excuse wrongdoing? No. You relocate causation where it belongs to free your judgment from venom. In the realm of appearances, acts have consequences, and there may be firm steps to take. But the doer you would punish in your heart is a fiction, an isolated ego inventing itself outside the one. There is only one I, only one life, infinitely individualized. To see instruments, not originators, is to know how good truly flows and how error truly dissolves. When a word of kindness comes through you, do you claim its authorship? If you are true to the Christly example, you say, I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. In that very manner, take the sting out of accusation by refusing to enthrone a little god of evil in your brother or your sister. If you do, you will end by worshiping that idol with your fear. Impersonalizing evil does not make you soft, it makes you clean. It disarms the reflex to repay because it removes the offender you were propping up in imagination. It is not that you suddenly approve of the conduct, it is that you cease creating a second self to torture with your resentment. You stop building a personality in your mind to hang on the gallows you have erected. And in that stopping, peace enters. Neither do I condemn thee. That sentence becomes possible because you have ceased to see a condemned person. You behold, behind the mask, the same life that is your life, the same Christ that is your Christ. You glance at the mask, yes, for wisdom's sake. You do not mistake it for the face. This is lawfully symmetrical. If no person is the author of evil, no person is the author of good. The cord runs in both directions, and it sounds like freedom. You will find that praise slides off you and blame slides off you because neither can stick to an instrument. The Spirit plays and the instrument yields. The carnal suggestion rasps and the instrument, if unguarded, vibrates. Your work is to be a tuned instrument, cleared by forgiveness, steadied by righteous judgment, held in the quiet by the recognition of oneness. Then even when a harsh note is sounded in your direction, you will discern its impersonal source, and without retaliation, you will either silence it by non-reaction or answer it by wise action without heat. Let us make this practical. The next time a barb lands a slight, a sarcasm, a delay, engineered to provoke, do nothing outwardly for a moment. Enter and shut. In the secret place, say, this is not a person injuring a person. This is the carnal mind suggesting separation, and separation has no law. I and my Father are one, not two. The same I is the life of that one. I relieve this one of authorship, and I relieve myself of retaliation. Father within, thou art the only cause, the only actor. Reveal thy way. Do you feel the difference in your own blood? The heat subsides, the breath returns, the hook falls with a small inner clink. Very often the inspiration follows quickly, a clear boundary to set, a simple truth to state, a silence to keep. And whatever it is, it will come without the aftertaste of bitterness. Do not be afraid that this will make you naive. The naive are those who believe in many minds and then spend their days trying to manage them. The wise believe in one and watch shadows dissolve as they refuse to supply belief. You will be led, I assure you, to bar the door when it must be barred, to say no when no is love, to report a harm when protection is required. But you will not brand a soul with your fury, for you will see that there is no separate soul to brand. There is only the one, and there are masks that come and go. You will correct a behavior, you will not crucify a being. Some of you will ask, how do I keep this impersonal lens clear? By the same housekeeping we have named periodically, and especially when provoked. Sit and strip names from your indictment list. Speak within. No man and no woman has ever been my Savior. No man and no woman has ever been my destroyer. All that the Father hath is mine. I have meat to eat that the world knows not of. The good that reaches me is God through instruments. The offense that rattles at my door is the claim of a mind apart from God, which has no law and no persistence. I withhold assent. I withhold condemnation. I behold the one. Stay with that until the face dissolves and only presence remains. Mark, what happens to the compulsion to repay when the author disappears? It withers. Who will you punish? A mist? You cannot jail a fog. And so revenge loses its drama, the theater empties, the stage goes quiet. In that quiet, you will hear what is always trying to be heard. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as the world, not as vindication, not as apology extracted, not as triumph scored, but as the stillness that comes when the mind is no longer building idols out of shadows. Love is the fulfilling of the law, and love, seen rightly, is the recognition that the one alone is actor, the one alone is good, and that what claims an opposite has no author and no endurance. Take this, then, as your practice in the very next provocation. Remove the name, remove the face, remove the authorship. See instruments, not originators. Let good flow impersonally. Let error dissolve impersonally. You will find, often to your astonishment, that the problem either yields without struggle or that the required outward step rises in you with such peace that you marvel you ever thought vengeance could help. And you will know, not by argument, but by experience, that when offense is impersonalized, the compulsion to repay dissolves, because there is no one left to punish, only the presence left to obey, and in that obedience, peace. Now let us return to the center. For having cleared the channel, we must know the nature of the water that flows. Be still and know. Be still and know what? Not a doctrine, not a hope for future relief, but this: I in the midst of me is God. I and my Father are one, not two. There is not God and you. There is God expressed individually as you and me. Only one I, only one life, infinitely individualized. Here is the ground on which peace stands without trembling. Peace is not imported. It is disclosed. It is the unveiling of what already is the nature of your own being, the presence that never left. Listen to the Master's own witness. The kingdom of God is within you. Within you, not at the end of an apology secured, not after a verdict won, not at the summit of a personal triumph. Within, if you chase peace as a trophy mounted on the wall of human outcomes, you will find it crumbles like plaster when the next noise sounds. But if you enter and be still and know I in the midst of me is God, you will touch the rock that does not move when the picture shakes. This knowing is supply consciousness. It is the awareness that what you seek is not outside your identity. It is the nature of your identity. I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Do you see how far this is from petition? We are not begging for vindication. We are not petitioning for a particular arrangement of persons and circumstances to soothe our agitation. We are acknowledging sufficiency at the fount. I have meat the world knows not of. I am the bread of life. I am the light that sees rightly. I am whole. These are not boasts of a human mind. They are recognitions of the I, that is God, revealing itself as your being. The light that sees rightly is not an improved human judgment. It is the Christly awareness that judges not by appearance, but by what is, and it is in you, as you, when you are still enough to let it be. Take no thought for your life. Your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. If that is true, and I tell you from practice that it is, then peace is not earned by having your needs met. Your needs are met by abiding in peace. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added unto you as effect, not as cause, as outflow, not a strategy. When you abide in identity, guidance for any outward step rises without strain, because it rises from the only cause. The Father within doeth the works. Let this be your inner speech, not as magic words, but as a returning to what is. Be still and know, I in the midst of me is God. I and my Father are one. All that the Father hath is mine. I have meat to eat that the world knows not of. I am the bread of life, therefore there is no famine in me. I am the light that sees rightly, therefore I do not stumble in the dark of offense. I am whole, therefore no man and no circumstance can add to or take from my integrity. Say it quietly. Say it until the words fall away and only the knowing remains. Then be still again. Wait. Do not reach out mentally to tug at result. Let the knowing ripen into guidance, and when it breaks the surface, you will feel the sign of authority, not heat, not urgency, but a clean, effortless clarity. I must caution you as a friend. Cease petitioning for vindication. Every prayer that asks for someone else to change so that you may have peace is a prayer to the wrong God, a God outside. All that the Father hath is mine. Not will be mine if they apologize. Not will be mine if the court sides with me. Mine now, in the midst of me, as me, because there is only one. When you rest there, peace is not the result of capitulation by others. Peace is the air you breathe. And strangely or not strangely at all, the outer scene begins to recompose around the stillness you have found. This is not manipulation. It is law. The branch that abides in the vine bears fruit, because the life that is the vine is its life. It puts forth without effort. So with you, abide, and what is needful is added. You may ask, how do I abide when the storm howls? Always in the same way. Enter and shut. Enter your closet and shut the door to the noise. Sit long enough for the first wave of argument to pass. Then take up your identity, not as self-hypnosis, but as remembrance. I in the midst of me is God. I have meat the world knows not of. I am the bread of life. All that the Father hath is mine. Do not argue with the picture. Do not lecture it. Do not rebuke yourself for its persistence. Return and return like the tide until the shoreline of your heart is washed clean. In that washing, the peace that is your nature will become palpable, not as a mood, as a presence. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Keep garrison, guard, because peace is authority. It is the government of your being come to its throne. Out of this throne, instruction issues. My sheep hear my voice. You will hear, send the letter now, or wait till morning. Speak this one sentence, or keep silence and let the heat expend itself. Accept this settlement, or stand and appeal. The counsel will be specific, and it will be free of the thirst to win. How will you know it is true? It will carry its own peace as credential. You will not need to whip yourself into courage to obey. The Father within doeth the works, and the works prepared for you are yours to walk in without strain. In case you fear that this high language belongs only to saints of history, remember, identity is not earned, it is recognized. The prodigal son's robe did not appear after years of atonement. It was brought out from the beginning of his return. Your peace is cut from that cloth. Turn, return, be still, know. Let the words lift you to the knowing, and let the knowing dissolve the words. When agitation knocks, do not barter with it. Do not promise it a victory if it will let you sleep. Withdraw your belief in its terms. Rest where rest eternally is. I in the midst of me is God. I and my Father are one, not two. There is no second self to frighten me, no second power to threaten me, no second cause to oppose the I. Love is the fulfilling of the law. And love here is simply the awareness that the one alone is life, light, bread, peace. I say this to you with the weight of practice behind it. The peace you seek is not earned by outcomes. It is recognized as the nature of your own being. Recognize it, and you will discover that life begins to answer to that recognition. Doors that must open, open. Doors that must close, close. Words that must be said are given. Words that must be withheld are hushed. And in all of it, you remain in the sanctuary from which you do not have to emerge to govern what is yours to govern. Abide in me, and I in you. In that mutual abiding is sufficiency, and in that sufficiency is peace that does not ask the world's permission to be itself. Let me show you how this operates when the heat is fresh. Yesterday, late afternoon, an email came with a subject line bright as a flare. Status, and responsibility. It was addressed to a broad circle, and in 3 crisp paragraphs it misrepresented a decision I had counseled as if I had acted without consultation and against policy. Names I respect were on that CC line. A few who enjoy a bit of drama were there too. Instantly the pulse quickened. The fingers, those servants of haste, began forming replies. First a defense, then a point-by-point correction, then a sharper one with phrases designed to sting as I had been stung. Do you know that rush? You do. Step 1, closet. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. I closed the screen. I literally turned the chair away from the desk. 2 minutes, not a lifetime. 2 minutes in which the first command was not compose, but be still. Be still and know that I am God. I use the form I have taught you. Be still and know I in the midst of me is God. I and my Father are one, not two. I am not a human defending a human image in a human court. I am an instrument, and the Father within doeth the works. I sat there, and the first wave pounded against the rocks and spent itself. I did not chase it. I did not braid a strategy inside my head. I shut the door. Step 2, forgive. While the heat still looked for a target, I obeyed law. And when ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any. But if ye do not forgive, neither will your Father which is in heaven forgive your trespasses. It is procedure, not sentiment. So in the silence, deliberately I spoke. In my heart, at this instant, I release this colleague from criticism, judgment, condemnation. Neither do I condemn thee. I do not wait to feel like it. I obey. In my heart at this instant, I release this one. I release the readers on the CC line. I release that part of me called pride that wants a scene. I release them all. I repeated it, not pounding the air, but pruning the branch until something yielded. The breath, which had been high and chopped, fell into the body. The chest softened. There was a quiet warmth there, as if a small hand pressed and then withdrew. These are not the goal. They are tokens that the door is opening. Step 3, impersonalize. For to be carnally minded is death. The carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So I said within, this sting is not authored by a person. It is the carnal mind claiming separation, not power, not law, not person. I refuse to enthrone a little god of evil in my brother. There is only one I. The same life that is my life is his life. I remove the mask of authorship. I behold an instrument, sometimes well played, sometimes jarred by suggestion. But I do not create in imagination a criminal to punish. The fist unclenched in my own blood. The picture, still there on the screen behind me, lost its power to command the theater of my mind. Step 4, righteous judgment. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. I and my Father are one here. The same one lives as my colleague. I do not judge at the level of paragraphs and tones. I look through to identity. Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. In the same breath, I withhold blaming the person as an originator of harm. I let the scales tilt at last to accuracy. Only God is cause. The rest is picture. In that righteous judgment, see, peace returns not as a luxury, but as sanity. The inner weather clears. One more breath, long and even. Step 5, listen. My sheep hear my voice. I did not grab the keyboard. I waited for the voice that carries its own credential, the peace that attends it. I asked nothing of God but God. Father within, thou knowest. Do thou do the works. And then the nudge came, simple, unhurried. Not an all-hands reply, not a defense. One direct note to the sender, gentle and clear. Wait till morning. Include this single sentence. For the sake of accuracy, here is the timeline and the policy reference I followed. No proof phrases, no barbs, no CC. Then a second instruction. Later in the day, if needed, a brief update to the group with the same single sentence. Nothing more. The sense was unmistakable. There was no heat in it, no hunger to win. It felt like water finding its own level. I turned back to the screen, and against every human impulse for immediate vindication, I let the evening pass. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Sleep was easy because the case had moved to the court within, and the only judge there speaks from, neither do I condemn thee. In the morning, before opening anything, closet again, 2 minutes, be still and know. The same warmth rose, the same soft breath. The words were given and were few. I typed the private note as I had heard it, added the policy citation, and blessed the name at the top. I did not add a single rhetorical flourish. Then I waited. Within the hour, a reply. Thank you for the clarification. I'll correct the thread. Perhaps that is what you were hoping I would say. But hear the more important part. Before the reply arrived, peace was entire. If the reply had not come, if the correction had not been offered, if silence had followed, peace was already mine, because peace was I. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. By midday, the group received a brief correction from the sender. I sent no all-hands sermon. There was nothing to defend, because the identity that needed no defense had been my dwelling place. The fruit, warmth in the chest, unforced breath, and a clean capacity to act or refrain without inner warfare. The outcome was orderly, yes, but the order began where order always begins, within. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added byproduct, not prize. Do you see the sequence? Not heroic, not theatrical. 2 minutes in the closet. Forgiveness by law, not by mood. Impersonalization that removes the hook. Righteous judgment that beholds the one. Listening that waits until the word carries its own peace. Then, if there is an act, it is an act without smoke. The wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. So wrath was dismissed at the door, and righteousness, right-seeing, did its quiet work. Take this picture into your next provocation. Do not trust your first draft. Trust the closet. Do not trust the appetite to set the record straight. Trust forgiveness to clear the channel. Do not trust the face your imagination has painted on the offender. Trust the impersonal truth that cancels the mask. Do not trust the splash on the surface. Trust the depth where the one abides as you and as the other. Then, when you act or do not, you will know by the sign with which truth always signs its name. Peace first, and then, in the world of emails and meetings and policies, all these things shall be added unto you in their season without strain. Now let us make this so simple that you can take it with you into the hallway, into the meeting, into the late night message that presses for your peace. Jesus did not offer romance when he said, "But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret." He offered a method, not a room in your house, a room in your awareness. The door is not wood, it is attention. The latch is not metal, it is your decision to be still and know. Always begin by getting still. Always. Do not attempt to compose a righteous reply from an unrighteous climate. The wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Sit if you can. Stand where you are if you must. 3 breaths, not theatrical, not forced. 3 honest breaths. Close the eyes if it is safe to do so. Draw your attention down from the buzzing head to the center of the chest, that sacred middle where you have often felt a quiet warmth when the presence announced itself. There is meaning in that verse, be still and know that I am God. The stillness precedes the knowing. If you try to know while the inner winds are tearing at the sails, you will mishear the voice and call it guidance. 3 breaths, eyes closed, attention at the heart. This is the shutting of the door. Next, purge. The Master gave us law, not sentiment. And when ye stand praying, forgive if ye have aught against any. This is prerequisite, not poetry. Lay it down deliberately. In your heart, at this instant, name and release. I release resentment. I release fear. I release self-justification. I release the case I am building in my imagination. No envy, no jealousy, no greed, no lust, no animality, no pride of being right, no secret appetite to win. And if you discover you still cling to some thread, say so in honesty. Father, I find a hook of anger here. I set it on the altar. Neither do I condemn thee. Neither do I condemn myself for having felt it. I release. Speak it within until the breath loosens and the blood cools. This is not ritual. It is sanitation. You cannot pour clean water through a clogged vessel and expect it to stay clean. Love is the fulfilling of the law. And love at this level is the choice to free every person in your heart from your judgment so that the channel is clear. Then affirm identity. Do not petition the sky for power to handle a problem. Acknowledge what is. I, in the midst of me, is God. I and my Father are one, not two. Only one I, not a human I and a divine I negotiating, but the one I eternally expressing as individual being. There is not God and me. There is God expressed as me. All that the Father hath is mine. I have meat to eat that the world knows not of. I am the light that sees rightly. I do not judge according to the appearance, but I judge righteous judgment. Let this extend to the one before you. The same I is the life of that one. God individualized as me and as the one before me. I remove authorship from persons. I behold instruments through which good flows and shadows that pass with no law to sustain them. Stay here until the factuality of oneness, not the phrase, the fact steadies the inner weather. Now, wait. Do not conjure. Do not reach for a tool, a technique, a sentence you once heard. My sheep hear my voice. Let there be a space in which you are not manufacturing guidance, but receiving it. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. That reward is not a trinket, it is instruction, peace, authority. Spiritual operation cannot function through rote ritual. It comes purely through inspiration. So be quiet enough to be inspired. How will you know the difference between imagination and inspiration? Inspiration arrives without heat. It carries its own credential peace. It is simple, often humbling in its ease. It does not lean on drama. It leans on law. Proceed only when the inner climate is quiet. Hear this as law. If the mind is still rehearsing indictments, you are not yet in the climate of right action. If the chest is tight and the breath is shallow, wait. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Do not act from double-mindedness and then ask God to clean up the debris. Wait until the eye is single. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. The single eye is the consciousness of one. When that light fills you, you will find yourself unable to condemn and equally unable to be naive. You will see clearly, and your action will be clean. Make this practical under fire. Phone buzzing, text stinging, step aside. 3 breaths, eyes closed if you may. Attention to the heart. Be still and know, purge. In my heart at this instant, I release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation. I release the part of me that longs to win. Neither do I condemn thee. Identity. I in the midst of me is God. Only one I. The same I lives as the sender of this message. Father within, thou art cause. Reveal thy way, then wait. 30 seconds can be holy. 2 minutes can be an altar on which the whole case burns to ash. If peace does not appear, do not move. Delay the reply, postpone the meeting 5 minutes and go to your car, walk to the end of the corridor. Enter and shut. When the word comes, it will be specific. It may say, speak 1 sentence. It may say nothing today. It may lead you to set a boundary, to withdraw from a harmful pattern, to bring in counsel. It may lead you to apologize without self-scourging. It will never ask you to brand a soul in your heart. Remember, we work in consciousness first. Do not work on people. Do not work on pictures. Work until the heart is single and quiet. Then move. The Father within doeth the works, and the works will have the fragrance of the Father upon them. Peace first. Some will ask, how long must I wait until peace answers? Not a mood, a presence. The sign is consistent. Your breath evens, the urge to win dissolves, a clarity without smoke presents itself. You can trust that. If it does not come, keep house. Sometimes the first 2 breaths lift out only the top litter. Stay until the floor of the heart is clear. Do not idolize the steps. The steps are scaffolding. The building is God. If, in urgency, you race through the words as if they were charms, you will have only words. But if you sit long enough to know that the I speaking within is the I that is God, you will rise with more than words. You will rise with law. This, then, is your repeatable method wherever you are, whatever the pressure. Stillness, release, identity, wait, then move. It is not a technique to control outcomes. It is a way of entering the government of your being so that outcomes are added, as they must be, to a consciousness already at peace. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Let him lead. Refuse to lead with your heat. And you will find that in the very place where offense once ruled you, a new authority reigns quiet, unprovoked, effective. Peace first, then motion. Always. Now hear me. Non-condemnation is not passivity. Neither do I condemn thee. Does not mean do anything you please to me. It means this: I refuse to enthrone a second power called evil in any person. Yet I will let the Father within arrange my steps, even if those steps include a boundary, a correction, or a process that guards order and protects the field. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Serpent-wise, clear, exact, not naive. Dove harmless, without venom. This is the paradox resolved in righteous judgment. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth without mercy becomes a weapon. Mercy without truth becomes enablement. In the one they kiss. So test yourself before any outward step. This is the readiness test. Can I take this step without heat? Can I speak this sentence without the metallic taste of payback on my tongue? Can I compose this notice, make this call, enter this meeting, and in my heart say, neither do I condemn thee, even as I set the line? If you cannot, return to the closet. The wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. But if, having stilled and released and known identity, you find a clean, unhurried clarity, then move. Let your yea be yea. Let your nay be nay. No drama, no barbs, no hidden ambition. Response, not reaction, not will, but willingness. The Father within doeth the works. Action then becomes instrumented. You are not creating an outcome. You are consenting to be a transparency for truth. If led, right, but right as light, not as lightning. If led, meet, but meet as one who beholds the one in the other, not as a plaintiff with a sharpened case. If led, escalate through the channels at hand, supervisor, policy, mediation, counsel, but as stewardship, not as revenge. Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. Processes exist. Let them serve order. Yet never abdicate the inner government, for only peace can certify that the use of process is clean. You ask, what might this look like? Suppose a colleague repeatedly misstates facts in public settings. After the closet, you feel the word request a private conversation. You go not to accuse, but to lay out accurate timelines and references and to ask for a correction. Your voice is even. Your sentences are short. If you are led, you send a brief written follow-up with the facts without a single flourish designed to shame. If the pattern continues, you are led to include a supervisor with the same clarity and the same absence of heat. You are not hunting a victory. You are holding a standard. If at any point you feel heat rise, you pause, you return to the closet, and you do not take the next step until peace again is the credential. Or this, a family member crosses a boundary with speech that wounds. After the closet, you find the sentence forming, I love you, and I will not continue this conversation while voices are raised. Let's pause. Then you end the call or step out of the room. No slam of a door in your spirit. No mental brief to a jury that does not exist. Later, if led, you invite a calmer time and reset the agreement. When we speak, we do so with respect. If that fails, I will end the call. If the pattern persists, you limit contact not as exile, but as stewardship of the peace through which love can still flow. Boundaries can be love when they are free of condemnation. Again, a steward discovers misallocation of funds. This is not the field for sentimentality. In the closet, you purge any appetite to humiliate. Then you move in righteousness. You document. You inform the proper authority. You cooperate. You do not decorate your report with innuendo. You do not attempt to engineer outcomes. You do what is yours to do, emptied of vengeance, and you bless every name involved. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. Your boundary protects the many, and, oddly to the human view, it protects the one who erred by not leaving them under the domination of secrecy. In this, love fulfills the law. Let Matthew 18 guide you, not as church policy alone, but as spiritual pattern. If thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he hears, thou hast gained thy brother. If not, take with thee one or two more, and if still not, tell it unto the church. Private first, then with witnesses, then formal. Each step check for heat, each step stand in. Neither do I condemn thee. If at any point the inner climate smokes, do not proceed. Return to the secret place until the eye is single, for only the single eye, the consciousness of one, can judge righteous judgment. Do not confuse passivity with peace. Do not confuse aggression with strength. Peace is authority, not anesthesia. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts, rule, govern. When peace rules, action can be firm without being cruel, clear without being cutting, Perfect love casteth out fear. That is not romance, it is operational law. Love, present as the awareness of one, casts out the fear that drives retaliation. And in the absence of fear, boundaries can be set as calmly as a gardener pruning a branch, not to punish the vine, but to make room for fruit. You will ask, how shall I measure the outcome? Not by compliance, not by apologies collected like trophies. Measure by peace. If, after you have acted as led, the heart remains unhooked, the breath is even, the mind is not rehearsing speeches for an imaginary courtroom, then the action bore the mark of the one. If, on the other hand, the outer went your way but the inner is smoky, you have merely shifted scenery. Return, enter, and shut. Better a boundary delayed until it can be given in peace than a swift blow struck in heat and called justice. Keep this simple. Before any boundary, ask, can I bless this person sincerely as I take this step? Can I see through the mask of behavior to the same life that is my life? Can I act without the inner drum of they must pay? If the answer is yes, proceed. If no, wait. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Do not drag God into a divided act and ask that act to carry peace. Let the act be born of peace instead. And if you are led to strong measures to terminate a contract, to withdraw from partnership, to seek formal mediation, do so as transparency, not as protagonist. State only what is needed. Keep no secret ledger of hurts. Hold no desire to see anyone suffer. Place each one on the altar of the one, repeating within, neither do I condemn thee. This does not weaken the line, it sanctifies it. In such acts you will find righteousness and peace have kissed. And even those who disagree with your decision will sense the absence of venom. That absence is your certificate. Right action is possible and sometimes required, but it must be emptied of vengeance to carry peace. This is the law I give you from long practice. Begin small if you must, one sentence, one meeting, one clear no, each one offered only when the inner government says now. And when you have done what was yours to do, release the picture. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Let the adding be his. Let your part be peace. Let us pause here and make some gentle corrections. I speak to you not as a scolder, but as a friend in the work, one who has stumbled in these same places and found by practice what blocks the flow. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Therefore I offer these not as rebukes, but as the clearing away of debris so that love may fulfill its law in you. If, after you have done everything I have taught, your peace still flickers in the draft, it is likely that one of these errors has crept in. We will uncover them, and we will remove them, not by might nor by power, but by a simple returning to presence. First, the common error, trying to make God fix a person. Never pray that God change anyone. Do not kneel with a private blueprint for another soul and plead that the Almighty sign off on your plan. That is not prayer, that is idolatry of your picture. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Prayer is not an attempt to harness God to human will. Prayer is the realization of truth, God as the only cause, the only law, the only life, individualized as you and as all. I and my Father are one. There is not God, and you there is God, expressed as you. So, when a brother jostles you with his short-sightedness, do not attempt to persuade God to repair him. Enter the closet and behold the one. Realize, only one I, only one life. The carnal mind, that universal mesmerism of separation, is the mischief maker. It is not a person. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. See through, not at. Then the Father within, who alone is cause, arranges what needs arranging, often without your interference. Your part is not alteration of people, but transfiguration of vision. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Second, the frequent mistake of laying affirmations like carpets over floors unswept with forgiveness. Affirmations over resentment do not rise, they sink. You can say, I am peace, I am love from dawn to dark, yet if in your heart you keep a private court where you rehearse indictments, your words will strike the ceiling and fall back empty. The Master gave us the procedure plainly, and when ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any. This is not mood, it is method. Forgive first, then affirm. Clear the vessel, then let the water run. In the quiet, speak deliberately. In my heart at this instant, I release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation. Neither do I condemn thee. Include yourself in the amnesty. For if you clutch at your own throat for having been human, you remain double-minded. When the breath loosens, when warmth touches the heart, then your affirmations have root. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Let love fulfill its law by first removing the charge of condemnation from your consciousness. After that, say, I and my Father are one. All that the Father hath is mine. And know that you are stating a fact, not reciting a charm. Third, the subtle practice of rehearsing injury under the title of prudence. You call it thinking it through, being prepared, when in truth it is worship of the picture. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Each time you replay the scene as if the film itself were power, you bow before a graven image. You magnetize the very pattern you say you wish to dissolve. Prudence is not rehearsal, prudence is presence. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not avoidance, it is allegiance. It refuses to treat the moving image as law. It returns attention to the one law, the one I. Set your affection on things above, not on the scene below. When guidance comes from presence, you will still be clear. You will still remember the facts needed. You will still bring documents when appropriate, but you will not carry the theater in your blood. If you catch yourself telling the story again inside your head, smile gently and stop mid-sentence, enter and shut. Replace the picture with the presence. My sheep hear my voice. The voice speaks better when the theater closes. Fourth, and this requires honesty, spiritual bypass, calling harm unreal while seething beneath a varnish of metaphysics. It is no use to pronounce, none of this is real, if your jaw is locked and your sleep is broken. If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. That does not mean God withholds. It means your own interior static jams, the reception. Be honest in the closet. Say, Father, here is anger, here is fear, here is pride wounded. Neither do I condemn thee, not the other, not myself. I bring it into thy light. Let the heart be cleansed. This is not confession to earn favor. It is exposure to reality so that the unreality of the emotion loses its hypnotic drive. Only then can you impersonalize the scene without denial. Only then can you say with integrity, this is the carnal mind, no law, no person, and let the hook slip from the flesh. Remember, beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence toward God. Confidence arises naturally when nothing accuses within. Drop the pretense. Choose the purgation. After the washing, your declaration that God alone is cause will carry the ring of truth. Now, hear the governing rule that gathers them all. If you are double-minded, you are not ready. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Do not act from that instability. Do not write the letter. Make the call. Set the line. while the eye is split between presence and picture. Wait in the closet until you have a single eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. The single eye sees one only, one life, expressing itself as all. When that sight is established, you will notice three signs. The breath is unforced, the appetite to punish has vanished, and a simple clarity arrives, free of performance. That is your green light. Until then, be content to wait. Waiting in God is motion. It is the most efficient motion you will ever make, for it prevents the waste of repairs. Do not work on people. Do not work on pictures. Work in consciousness until the heart is single and quiet. Work where the root lies. The Master never said, convince your neighbor that he is wrong. He said, enter into thy closet, and he lived. Neither do I condemn thee. Work where the law operates within. There, love fulfills its law. There, the Father within doeth the works. There, offense dissolves because there is no one left to punish. And when from that interior government you step outward, even a firm boundary will carry the fragrance of peace, and those who oppose you will still sense the absence of venom. That absence is your certificate. If you find yourself slipping into any of these errors tomorrow, praying to change a person, pasting affirmations over resentment, rehearsing the harm as if it were holy, denying your feelings while they boil, do not add a second error called self-condemnation. Stop, smile at your humanity, enter, and shut. Forgive, release, affirm identity, wait, then move, or do not, but whatever you do, let it be born of the one. Peace is the sign. Peace first, then motion. Always. Now, to keep the lamp trimmed and burning, let us speak of housekeeping, small, regular cleansings by which offense finds no hook and peace is preserved before provocation arises. Give us this day our daily bread. Bread is not merely food for the body, it is the fresh awareness of the presence that is our sufficiency. His mercies are new every morning, new not yesterday's echo. This is not a campaign to make you perfect by effort. It is a gentle, steadfast, consenting to the government of the one within, so that when the winds rise, there is nothing loose to rattle. Begin with morning stillness. Before the screen, before the coffee, take 5 honest minutes. Early will I seek thee. Enter into thy closet attention, withdrawn from the scene, door shut to the buzzing world, and be still. No impressive performance. 3 easy breaths, down from the head into the sacred middle. Then identity remembrance. I and my Father are one, not two. Only one I, the I that is God expressing as individual being. There is not God and me, there is God as me. All that the Father hath is mine. I have meat to eat the world knows not of. Today I do not judge according to the appearance. I judge righteous judgment. The Father within doeth the works. Let these not be phrases, but facts acknowledged. Sit there until the breath is unforced and the sense of me trying softens into me being. You may add a forward forgiveness, for love is the fulfilling of the law. In my heart at this instant, I release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation. Neither do I condemn thee. I carry no one's file into this day. 5 minutes is enough. If faithful, this is priming the lamp. Now, bless the field you will walk through. Name silently and impersonally a small circle, colleagues, family, even critics, not to change them, to recognize them. The same I is their life. Father, I behold thy face in these. Guide our meeting in peace. Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. This is priestly work, not pleading for outcomes, but lifting the veil of person to the presence. It takes 60 seconds. It removes the latent magnetism of reaction before it forms. At midday, pause and release, somewhere between tasks, on a staircase, at a sink, at your desk with the screen dimmed. Turn 15 seconds into sanctuary. Watch and pray. Pray without ceasing does not mean long hours. It means frequent returns. Say within simply and truthfully, I set this world free. I bind no man to my judgments, neither do I condemn thee. I yield this hour to the one, and I see through, not at. Breathe once, perhaps twice. If a scene has begun to gather smoke in you, add. This is the carnal mind universal suggestion. No law, no person powerless before the one. I and my Father are one. Then resume your work. These little releases are like opening a valve. The pressure does not have a chance to build. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. In the evening, inventory without scourging. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. This is not a courtroom, it is a cleansing. Sit quietly for 3 minutes. Ask, where today did I judge by appearance? Where did I hold anyone in the vice of my opinion? Where did a secret appetite to repay rise up? Name it, bring it into the light, and lay it down. In my heart, at this instant, I release this person, this scene, this story. Neither do I condemn thee. Father, create in me a clean heart. Renew a right spirit within me. If an apology is yours to make tomorrow, you will know it without heat. If a boundary is to be set, peace will indicate when, but do not carry the theater into the night. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. You are not earning sleep. You are ceasing to idolize the picture before sleep. Place guardrails around these simple practices so they remain clean. First guardrail, no gossip. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. Gossip anchors you to the very pictures you say you wish to transcend. It is judgment by appearance with a choir. If conversation turns that way, be serpent-wise and dove-harmless. Change the subject gently or keep silence. Second guardrail, no retaliation drafts. Never write the hot letter. Do not keep a folder of sharpened words. If a reply is required, write it after the closet, not before. A soft answer turneth away wrath, and a delayed answer born of peace prevents tomorrow's repairs. Third guardrail, no late-night courtroom in the mind. Do not convert your bed to a bench of judgment. Turn off the scroll that provokes. Close the file. If the mind begins to plead its case, smile and stop mid-sentence. Whisper, I and my Father are one. I set this world free. Neither do I condemn thee, and lie down in green pastures. For he leadeth me beside the still waters. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Do not steal tomorrow's light to relight today's arguments. Extend your blessing to the wider community as a discipline. Once a day, choose a handful. The decision maker whose note unsettled you, the neighbor who is loud, the public figure who stirs contention, the one whose name you would rather not speak. Hold each for a breath within the light. I behold Christ the I in you. Not a charm, not a manipulation, a recognition. Only one I. We, being many, are one body in Christ. In that beholding, you loosen the knot that binds you to their face of the hour. The benefit may never show on the outer screen, but it will show in your bloodstream. Peace will be in you, and peace is communicable. You will discover that this housekeeping builds momentum, The morning stillness sets the tone. The midday release keeps the waters clear. The evening inventory removes any sediment that's settled over days. The reflex to retaliate weakens for lack of daily feeding. Over weeks, the single eye becomes your native way of seeing. Offense presents itself, but there is no Velcro left to catch. This is not strain, it is rhythm. Not technique to get results, but consent to be governed by the presence already in the midst of you. If you miss a morning, or forget the midday pause, or fall asleep mid-inventory, do not add the weight of self-condemnation. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence toward God. Begin again at the next opening. The aim is not a perfect streak. The aim is a kept heart. Small, regular cleansings, that is the wisdom I give you. 5 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes. Bless, release, remember. Keep your speech free of gossip, your drafts free of heat, your bed free of courts. And when the next provocation enters, you will find you have already decided. Righteous judgment will present itself not as effort, but as habit. Peace first, then motion, always. And now, beloved, a word of commissioning. We have walked together from agitation into stillness, from the reflex to repay into the rhythm of peace. We have learned the way. Not a theory, not a slogan, a way. Be still and know that I am God. Forgive, and the channel clears. Impersonalized, and the hook dissolves. Judge righteous judgment, and vision is restored. Then, and only then, allow the Father within to ordain right action without heat. This is the simple law of our path. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. Let love precede, and power will follow of itself. I say this to you very emphatically. There is only one I, not two. I and my Father are one. There is not God in you. There is God expressed as you and as me, and as that one who, to the human sense, appears today as foe. Only one life, one mind, one law. This is the cornerstone without which none of what we have said will stand. If there is only one I, then what appears as offense is not personal power. It is the suggestion of a universal carnal mind that wrestles, but with no law, no cause, no person. See through, not at. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Therefore I commission you in plain steps, for this is a practical gospel. When the next offense comes, and it will come, perhaps before you sleep tonight, perhaps before your coffee cools tomorrow, make this your classroom. Do not lunge, do not plead your case to the air. Enter and shut. Close the door of the senses, withdraw attention from the picture, come apart a little while, be still. 3 breaths, honest enough to reach the center, then forgive. And when ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any. In your heart at that instant, release every individual from criticism, judgment, condemnation. Say it and mean it. Neither do I condemn thee. Include yourself. Let love fulfill its law. Then impersonalize. This sting is not a person. It is the carnal mind's suggestion. No law, no power, no presence. I refuse a second power. Now seal identity. I and my Father are one, only one I. All that the Father hath is mine. The Father within doeth the works. Wait, do not hurry past this. Let the breath even, let the appetite to punish drain away. If action is required, it will rise as a clean, unhurried word. If silence is the step, it will come as peace. If boundary is necessary, it will present itself without venom. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. Rule, govern, peace first, then motion, always. You will ask, what good is this if the outer remains stubborn? The answer is law. The peace of God meets you before any outcome does. The peace of God which passeth all understanding shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Your practice is not to engineer the scene. Your practice is to remain transparent to the one. Outcomes belong to the Father. Obedience belongs to you. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. What he brings to pass may be a soft answer, or a firm line, or the miracle no mind could plan. But never again chase payback. Avenge not yourselves, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. You are not the avenger, you are the instrument. Remember how the Master moved. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. He did not judge by the face before him. He saw through to the eye, that is, the life. He said, neither do I condemn thee. And in the same breath he set a line. Go and sin no more. Mercy and truth met together. Righteousness and peace kissed each other. That is your pattern. Do not imagine that love disables clarity. Perfect love casteth out fear, and when fear is absent, clarity is gentle and exact. I send you now into your ordinary day as a priest of the One. Your altar is a desk, a doorway, a dinner table, a street. Your sacrament is a pause. Your prayer is simple. I and my Father are one. I set this world free. Neither do I condemn thee. Father, reveal thyself as peace and govern my next step. Do not wait for a cathedral. The next text that stings is your chapel. The driver who cuts in is your liturgy. The colleague who misstates is your lesson. The memory that surges at midnight is your vigil. Choose righteous judgment there, and you will discover that peace reaches you before any outcome does. That is your certificate. Take care to keep the instrument clear. Guard your tongue from the relish of injury. Keep your drafts free of heat. Retire each night from the bench of judgment. If you slip, begin again. If heat rises, stop. If double-mindedness appears, wait. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Better to pause in God than to stride in reaction and call it courage. Your waiting is not inaction. It is alignment. And aligned, one sentence from you will do more good than a day of argument. Let this seal rest upon you. Only one eye, only one life, only one law. I and my Father are one. I have meat to eat that the world knows not of. All that the Father hath is mine. I do not judge according to the appearance. I judge righteous judgment. Love is the fulfilling of the law, and I consent to love's government now. Let these not be decorations of speech. Let them be the ground upon which you place your feet. I bless you in this work. Not my blessing, but the benediction of the one in the midst of you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Carry that peace into your next provocation as your shield and your credential. And as you go, hear the voice that never accuses. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and judge righteous judgment. Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. And when you have done what the Father within gives you to do, release the picture, rest the heart, and abide. Now choose, not tomorrow. Now choose. Righteous judgment and peace will meet you before any outcome does. This is the gift and the command. This is the way and the walk. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit to will and to do of his good pleasure. Go in peace.